Federal Executive Council approves 14.88 billion naira for construction of FRS office. Mobile transactions in Nigeria doubled to 12.8 trillion naira in 9 months, says the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System. World Bank Group to accelerate the pace of electrification in Africa to achieve universal access by the year 2030. Plus, equity markets gains 9 billion naira Wednesday to upturn previous day's losses. This is Business Express on a network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and it is a bright and beautiful morning right here in Abuja, the nation's capital. My name is Leah Katung, Babatunde, the captain of this ship. An interagency committee set up on the recovery of debts owed to the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, has submitted its report to the federal government and is urging for strict implementation of relevant laws, including the AMCON Act that ensures recalcitrant debtors do not benefit from government contracts and projects except with due diligence clearance from AMCON. Members of the committee, led by its chairman, Professor Bolaji Owasonoye, who is also the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission (ICPC), stated this while submitting its interim report to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa. Vice President Osinbajo said the government would review the report and act accordingly, observing that the issue of AMCON debtors doing further business with government agencies is a due diligence matter and there would have to be compliance with the requirement of the law. The committee has proposed an advisory to the federal government that going forward, all AMCON debtors must not be allowed to transact business or enjoy patronage with any government agency whatsoever except clearance is obtained from AMCON on the debt status of such obligors. The federal government says the Nigerian Agenda 2050 is designed to drastically bring poverty rate down to 0.6% and unemployment rate to 6.3% while transiting the economy to the highest per capita GDP in the group of upper middle income economies. Minister of State Budget and National Planning Clem Agba stated these at the press briefing ahead of the 28th Nigerian Economic Summit. Nekaoka reports.
For over 2 decades now, the Nigerian Economic Summit has been consistent in promoting sustainable growth and development of the Nigerian economy. This year, the summit intends to galvanize renewed commitment of stakeholders to articulate the country's development imperatives with the prospect of drawing lessons and insights from the past and present to set the economic policy agenda for sustainable economic development.
The private sector will be the engine of growth of the economy, while the government will implement policies and regulations that promote favorable business environment to achieve high rates of investment and savings. The investment is necessary to raise the economy to a GDP of $11.7 trillion by 2050, while structural barriers that constrain the vulnerable segment of the economy of the society from realizing its potentials are addressed.
2023 presents another opportunity to demonstrate a strong political will to tackle Nigeria's socioeconomic challenges. Hence, the NESG seeks to unveil the most critical challenges for urgent attention. These are 1. Unemployment, 2. Huge infrastructural deficit, 3. Fiscal weakness, 4. human capital and skills gap. 5, flawed security architecture. 6, corruption.
The 28th edition of the summit, with the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning playing a strategic role, is slated for November 14 and 15 in Abuja. Neka Oko.
And yes, of course, the countdown is on, but then data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System (NIBSS) for 2018 to 2022 shows that Nigerians carried out 12.8 trillion worth of mobile transactions between January and September 2022, more than double the amount recorded in the same period last year, and even much more than what was recorded in 2020. According to NIBSS, recorded mobile inter-scheme transactions in Nigeria grew by 153% year-on-year in the first 9 months of 2022 from 5.07 trillion recorded in the comparable period of 2021. The total transactions for the current year represent an even higher margin when compared to the same period of 2020, 2019, and 2018. Now, there is no going back on the federal government's policy designed to redesign to redesign and launch new Naira notes for Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari gave this assurance while speaking to newsmen in London.
The Governor of Central Bank convinced me that there is need to change it, and I agreed with him. Time has been given from October to December, 3 months. Is enough, whatever money you have, to get it changed through a legal system. So I don't know why people are complaining about it. There are no going back.
Indeed, I also do not know why, but then Nigerians seem expectant as the central bank of the country concludes plans to redesign the Naira. Many economists and financial experts have indicated that if managed properly, the currency redesign is good for the economy. Well, we have in the studio Chief Michael Kayode Ajayi, a public, political and security analyst, for his perspectives on the policy. Thank you for coming on the program, Chief.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Perhaps we take off from what the president said. We just heard him. He says 3 months is enough time to swap the currency. Do you agree?
I agree with the president completely, 100%. The 3 months is enough to do that. Even previously, under his administration as a military head of state, Nigerians were not even given that opportunity of 3 months. So now under civilian administration, he has given 3 months, and 3 months is enough. And adding to that, my appeal to the CBN governor is that there should be no extension whatsoever. We should keep date with 31st January.
Why you say that?
I say that because Nigerians are believing that there will be shift of date. And usually, during the time of NIN, they keep shifting. But this is not NIN. It is a monetary policy. So he should, for the success of it, he should keep strictly to 31st January. No appeal for extension. Whatever you have adequate window of 3 months to do that, to take your money to the bank, just as the president said. So I support it.
Okay, so from our observations, there seems to be no rush into the banking halls, and it's been 2 weeks. But then, amidst this no rush, just yesterday, this report came out that 52 billion naira cash deposits have been made into the banking system. How unprecedented is this?
It's a scratch on the wall. Because for me, my own view is that the money in circulation that is kept in circulation is over 20 trillion. The CBN governor is claiming there is about 3 million. And that when he imposed CRR of 32%, it only affected 15%. And that 2.8 trillion naira is still outside there, buried somewhere. That was the argument he presented before Mr. President, and he was able to win his heart. As long as that 2.8 trillion, in his own words, are outside, it will continue to complicate and have undue pressure on naira because it is hidden. This is an illicit fund. Why there's a slow pace in depositing this money in the bank vault is because the EFCC, the ICPC have, put their searchlight on the banks and are monitoring. And according to the CBN policy now, you cannot deposit more than 50 million naira in 1 month, in a month. You can't deposit more than that for an old account. For a new account, you cannot deposit more than 5 million naira in the bank within a month. So all these new policies is crippling those that have hidden this money. And if you look at the trend in Nigeria, anytime the EFCC goes to arrest anybody, they will seize billions of naira, they will seize millions of dollars. If you have billions of naira stacked somewhere, you equally have billions of dollars stacked in the same place. So after this episode, we are going to jump into another one. The 2.8 trillion that is outside has to come in for naira to be able to stabilize. It is excess liquidity that is in the system that is causing this naira nosediving. And just as you have observed of recent, the moment this policy came in, a lot of criticism came on it. They said naira has escalated. Naira has been has gone down. The value has gone down astronomically beyond expectation. Of course, one should expect that on the short run, because the moment it was announced, everybody was rushing to borrow the change to go and change their money. So we should expect that. It is not out of this world. Those that have hidden the money don't want it to go to zero level. That is to say that they don't have anything anymore. So the next thing is to go there. Another avenue is to go to the estate merchant to go and see how they can use that as a conduit of getting their money to the bank. So, but by January 31st, naira will begin to appreciate. Look at it now. By yesterday, naira was about 780.
Yes.
It's not even escalating the way they are thinking. And the CBN governor has been poo-pooed because of that. As if people don't even have the analytic sense to look forward.
Do you see that I'm sorry to cut you in. Do you see that the position of the president has something to do with the stability? We just noticed the firmness of the naira in the last 24 hours.
Yes, it has to. You know, it's in every country. You read the body language of your president. So I think those don't forget that some people are already putting pressure on the president. That is why he's saying this. But he won't tell you this. So the body language is so clear. And once the president Muhammad Buhari is a firm person. Military by their character, they are very firm. Their yes is yes, their no is no. So he has said it. This is a big signal to those who are holding money, still thinking that there's a window for them. The president has closed that window now. So they should find a way to get their money to the bank. And it's even a very dangerous trend in a country where you have 2.8 trillion naira buried somewhere. If this money were to be in circulation, it's going to be good for investment, opportunities that will create employment for Nigerians. The money will circulate. But when you hide such monies, it's a sin. Let me just put it like that. It is a sin against humanity to keep such humongous amount of money hidden somewhere, not investing. If you create petrol station, you get attendants. If you build a mighty structure, you will employ technicians, electricians, engineers, and so on and so forth.
So a lot of idle cash. Yeah,
idle cash. And that is what is used to obfuscate the political terrain. It puts undue pressure on the political and manipulate the process. You can see now, okay, watch this. What is going to happen very soon? Now, those that have hidden this money somewhere and buried it, by January 31st, and when they found out that their naira is useless, what they will now do is that the hidden dollars that they have will start coming out. And when it comes out, they want to use it, they will exchange it with naira so that they can undertake domestic transaction. So that is what you are going to see in the next phase after January 31st. Watch out.
So how do we weed this penchant of transactions in an economy like Nigeria with foreign currency?
I don't get your question very well.
Yes, you just said something that by January people will start bringing out their dollars to spend.
Yeah.
So I said, how do we navigate out of these waters that we have a lot of people who prefer to do transaction in foreign currencies rather than the local currency?
Well, it's in any economy. You can't restrict people from it's just international. If you're in America, nobody will restrict you from transacting their local currency or dollars. It's in our country. So there's nothing we can do about that one. But just as I said, as from 31st, a lot of people, even those who even claim they are going to spend money on politics, it's good. Now they like Naira, they bring the dollars out. So the dollars will find itself to the street because they want to encourage their supporters to come to vote. So since they lack Naira now, and they have dollar in huge quantum, they are going to be forced to bring the dollar out. And it's going to be, the street is going to be flooded. But then, there are some conditions that we need to look at. What role is NNPC playing? You know, there are some dollar federal agencies in the country. And principal among them is NNPC. NNPC contributes zero currently dollar zero to the national team.
That's because of fuel subsidy, we're told.
Yes, you know, okay. NNPC is telling us that they are importing. We are consuming about 1.2 trillion. 1.2 million liters per day, which is also false. There's no way you can. NNPC is the sole importer. They take crude out and come out to tell us that we are consuming 1.2 million liters per day. If you remember, some few years ago, Senator Saraki said this very clearly. He was the first person even to query this figure. So I must commend him for that. And that was when they claimed we were consuming about 33 liters. And that was what led to Lawan Ahmed committee that was probing consumption of petrol. Unfortunately, he was caught in the process too. You know. So how could we, within a period of about 6-7 years, we are now consuming 1.2 trillion?
Doesn't add up, right?
It doesn't add up. It's clear. I mean, Mele Kyari of NNP knows this very clearly. And a young man of his nature should try to see what you can contribute to the national team. Look at what El Rufai said of recent.
But we're seeing them do some talks here and there and trying to cut short the supply. I think over the news this morning on the radio while I was coming to office, I was hearing them say that the theft has reduced significantly.
That is oil theft.
Yes, so I think it's a whole basket.
You know, it's a basket of trouble, quite all right. But what we are saying is Nigeria is not consuming 1.2 trillion naira, 1.2 million liters of oil per day. We are not. Even now, look at it. The scarcity of oil. Are you consuming 1.2 trillion a day? A day. When all vehicles are virtually packed. So how do you justify it? I mean, this is commonsensical. You can see it. So the question, what federal government needs to do, and maybe what the role of the Minister of Finance, is to see how they can get NNPC to the table. The governors, members of National Assembly, particularly those performing oversight on NNPC, need to call NNPC to order. You cannot be spending over 280 billion to maintain a refinery that is not producing anything.
Well, they are now a PLC, by the way, so they are now a limited liability company. So there's a limit to which the government can hold them.
No, there's no. There's no. For government interference is wide. El Rufai has said that's just a change in name. They just put limited on it, and I believe so.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you for coming on the program. So we don't have much time again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. So in other news, the World Bank Group has announced an innovative initiative to accelerate the pace of electrification in Africa to achieve universal access by 2030. The World Bank, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA, the International Finance Corporation, IFC, and other development agencies will promote private investments in distributed renewable energy systems to electrify targeted areas quickly and efficiently. The distributed access through renewable energy scale-up platforms calls for joint action by government, private investors, and development agencies to solve Africa's immediate needs while developing DRE solutions that can be applied globally. The bank says at current rates of electrification, over 500 million people in sub-Saharan Africa will still be without electricity in 2030 unless the current electrification pace is tripled. Present projections indicate that only 8 sub-Saharan African countries will achieve universal electricity access by 2030, and some will take over 100 years to fully electrify. Next is Surviving COVID-19 as put together by Babatunde Abel.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
For the past 13 years, I've been in this business. Well, when we started, it was going well, but for the past 4 years now, business is not moving like before. Everybody is complaining, no money, no money, no money. This issue of no money is really causing trouble in the family. Things are going higher every day. Last year by September, attachment was 1,000. Before December, it's 2,005. Can you imagine that? During the lockdown, nothing. We are all inside. Business was not going. We are just eating. Do we even have? We are just managing ourselves. If we eat 3 times before, we are now managing 2 times. We eat morning food around 12. We eat night food. Oh my God, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I know many people who lose their life because of that COVID something. Before the lockdown, if you come to this shop by this time, this place will be filled up. But after the lockdown, nothing. This is almost 10 o'clock. We are just attending to one person. If it is before, we have attended to more than 10 people. So it's nothing. There is no change. It's the same thing because the shutdown, the COVID really affected many people. Yes, I'm hearing about it. I even applied to expand my business now and employ more youths. And employ more youth so that they won't be messing about. When the business is going and you employ youth, you won't see guests around going up and down. I have before the lockdown, we have more than 4 girls that are working. We are paying them. But since there is no work, we sack them. It will make them to be going up and down looking for men. If I can expand this business and I employ more than 10 youths, I want to say I've helped the government in my own way. So if they help my business, I will help the youths and the growth of the country generally.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The soybean prices on the rise after stock limit removal. Let's see prices on the global commodities market. The equities market closed Wednesday trading session on a bullish note. The all-share index gained by 0.04% to close at 43,477.48 basis points. A total turnover of 133.4 million units of securities worth 1.8 billion in 3,078 deals were recorded during the session. Equity capitalization increased to 23.6 trillion naira. FBN Holdings, Owando and Zenith banks were the most active stocks at the close of that session. Global stock markets is next with Babatunde Abel.
US stock futures inched higher early Thursday morning as investors await new inflation data and high election results. European markets were heading for a lower open Thursday as investors around the world digest incoming results from the US midterm elections. Asia Pacific stocks were mixed as investors digest incoming result of the United States midterm elections, and China's annualized producer prices fell for the first time in October since December 2020. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong lost 1.88%. In mainland China, the Shanghai Composite shed 0.41%, and the Nikkei 225 in Japan also dipped 0.98% at 27,446.10. Some African markets started the day slow, while others are yet to resume the day's activities. Boss said the able Business Express.
Before we go, let's see how CBN official rate for the Naira is exchanging against other currencies. And of course, we've come to the end of this episode of the program. Don't forget, you can access all previous episodes, including this one, on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can communicate with us via various social media platforms. Business Express returns Friday at 3 p.m. My name is Leah Katung Babatunde, saying thank you for being part of the ride, and God bless Nigeria.